All right, guys, we're going to get going here. We may or may not get to see some before or after slides, but they're going to play with it for maybe another minute. We'll see if we can get it to work. But we'll get going. I was going to do a quick market update, give you guys a couple things that a couple slides that not slides, never mind. A couple ideas that I learned last week at a conference. And so yeah, a quick market update. Gave out market statistics. The first page is Corvallis, second page Lebanon, Albany, and then all of the WVMLS, which is, well, not all of it, but Marion, Polk, Benton, and Lynn County, so kind of a collection of each. And, you know, it's most of these numbers are backwards looking, because even though these units, this is what happened in September, how many units closed, prices, and all that kind of thing. Even though, you know, we're seeing September numbers, which are pretty recent, that means those went in escrow 45 days, 50 days before that. And so we're really taking kind of a almost 3-month look back on a lot of these numbers. So just caveat that. Couple numbers that jump out to me, and this is mainly in Corvallis, but pretty true across the board if you look at the closed sales. Oh, and one thing on the left-hand side, that number and the up and down arrows is comparing it for the past year, so year over year compared to last September. And then the one on the right is just comparing a 1 month, so August of 2022. So again, long term on the left, short term on the right. But you see Corvallis is down 32% in closed sales. So that's a huge number, but we're seeing 20 to 30% across the nation. So that's really in line with what we're seeing in a lot of other markets. Let's see, Lebanon's down 23% year over year. Albany 32, our market's 35.6. So yeah, I mean, pretty much across the board, we've got a lot less sales this year. As you go down, we have seen an uptick in the median days on market, and so let's see, almost across the board that's going up a little bit. But you know, it looks bad when you see 20% up, but you think about that, and like Corvallis is 59 days, back off 20% of that, and it's really, you know, days on market has gone from 49, 50 days to now 59, 60 days. So it's not a huge jump, but it is trending up, absolutely. A number that I really look at in almost all these to think about demand is the list price received. And so last year we were seeing, and that's the list price to sales price. I think probably most of you understand that. But let's say you've got a list price of 400,000 and Corvallis is 101%. So that means on average homes are selling for 404,000 above list price. Usually homes don't sell for above list price unless there's more demand, multiple offers, those kind of things. So we got used to the last 2 years seeing 103, 104% pretty consistently. So that's finally come down just in the past 2 months to this 101, and across the board it's really about 100 on there, which means we've got a little bit more stability. Obviously demand is also falling. The thing that is, I guess, you know, some of these feel like the sky is falling a little bit, and if you listen to the media, it seems like that too. But if you look down at the inventory numbers and the months of supply, you'll see that, yeah, it's gone up a little bit, but really 1.1 months and 1.3 is not that much. And so let me explain that number real quick. Months of inventory means that if no more listings came on the market, how long would the existing homes take to sell? And so what we consider a balanced market, so we talk about sellers markets, balanced markets, and buyers markets. Sellers obviously is when the sellers have control. Buyers markets when the buyers have control and they get the negotiating power. So anything under about 4 is a seller's market. So sellers are still showing that they've got the controls because there's not much inventory, not many options. 4 to 7 or so, 5 to 7 is what we consider a balanced market. They're seeing, you know, there's enough things going on that buyers get to see several houses, and the balance doesn't feel too skewed. Anything over 7 months is considered a buyer's market. So we're seeing that it's still a strong seller's market. They're still got a lot of control, but we'll see that, I think, continue to trend away as we're seeing interest rates go up. So a couple things that I was going to share. I did have the opportunity to go to Bigger Pockets conference last week. Highly recommend if anybody has the opportunity to go to it next year. It's going to be in Orlando. I'm going to try and go again if anybody wants to do a little not road trip, but kind of go together, have a little group there. I really enjoyed it because it's kind of like this. You get to nerd out with people that like real estate investing, except for it's 3 days straight of learning about different people's investment strategies. And believe me, it was quite the spectrum of people doing tiny deals. Anyway, all across the board. So there was an economist that came in the second morning and talked about a few things. She's not necessarily tied to the real estate market, but a couple takeaways from that I wanted to share is that you hear a lot of doom and gloom. She was surprisingly moderate. Rosy's not the right term, but compared to what you hear in the media, she was surprisingly rosy. If you look at GDP growth quarterly, yeah, we've had a little bit of a decrease in tick down, and that indicates a recession. But it's the GDP has gone down teeny tiny amounts. Some of the other things that I thought were interesting is we've got a 50-year record low for unemployment. It just hit 3.5% a day or two ago. I think the numbers came out. So what that means is that there's not enough workers, wages are going up, household income is continuing to go up, and so that keeps the economy strong, buyers in the pool, and all those kind of things. So she was kind of saying, yeah, we'll have a bit of a recession for a couple years, but it's not going to be that bad. What she was looking at and their projections indicated that inflation will have a pretty steady decline to about 3.5%. Starting around the beginning of 2024. So it was coming down, trending down, but it's, slow trend down. We're still feel a lot of effects of inflation. We historically had like 2% inflation the last 10 years. So we got used to feeling like no inflation, right? She said that's not coming back. That we'll probably see more like 3% on average, which is just enough to feel the effects of price increases year over year. Supply chains are going to improve. War was by far the biggest risk. Geopolitical kind of things are could throw off this balance. But let's see. Oregon was one of the least affordable states, looking at median price towards household income, which means that there's going to be plenty of renters for the foreseeable future. Yeah, those were some of my notes. I'm going to try I've got my notes somewhat organized. I took pictures of a lot of the slides from her presentation and some of the others. And so I'm going to try and make a PDF and send it out to people that are interested. So I'll probably put something on the Facebook group, or come let me know if you guys want a PDF, and I'll send one to you. With that, I'd love to introduce Bethany and Zachary Olson. They're both agents with Keller Williams as well, and so I've gotten to kind of hear, and I haven't been real involved with getting to listen to everything that they're doing, and but I've gotten to hear a little bit about it, so I'm excited to hear even more. They've built a portfolio over the last really just 4 years, so I mean, really haven't done a ton until 4 years ago, but now have 12 properties, right? And so and the neat thing is they've used a mix of different kinds of financing. So I'm really excited to hear about the different types of financing that you guys use and everything. I'm so sad that we don't have slides, but again, maybe we'll get those slides going and online, because there's lots of before and after rehab photos. I'm going to give this to you. Oh, there you go.
Thanks, Ryan.
Oh, thank you.
Center this a little bit more?
Or I don't. Whatever you would like.
I feel like it's right in front of me. So there we go.
Okay, so like you said, I'm Bethany. This is Zach. We've been married 8.5 years. Right? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're agents, business owners. I've been selling real estate for 8 years, but grew up in the real estate industry. Both my parents are realtors.
I did.
Yeah. And then when I got into real estate, we started making enough of an income to get him out of his job and forced him into my family business. So super great. We have 12 properties, 10 of which are currently rented. 2 of the properties are just vacant lots that are sitting right now to be built on, and to, who knows, actually anybody want to build something in Amity? We have a lot for sale soon, eventually, one day. We've done all the stuff with the city. We're just waiting on the city. Yeah. So I'm going to go back to the beginning of kind of where we started. Actually, first let me ask, okay, I'm going to like pull our room for a second. Who is actively investing in real estate? Awesome.
Cool.
Love, love, love. Okay, perfect. So that kind of leads me to where we're going to skip. Perfect. So when we first started actively investing in real estate, we had the mindset of doing occupied flips. And so we thought we would live in a home, fix it up, flip the property, move into the next one, keep adding money to our portfolio, eventually live in a home debt-free, then utilize our cash to start investing in real estate. We quickly learned through all of the resources that we had that was stupid. So we bought our first home.
How do you really feel, Bethany?
I know. So we bought our first home, and all in for that home, we put $25,000, $500. So that was all we had. And to this day, we haven't had to put any more money into any of our properties. So we have just been able to utilize the money from our properties into the next properties. So, which is, I feel like, kind of an exciting thing that all we had to is come up with our first original amount of money, which was a down payment, an FHA down payment to the first home that we bought, that we lived in, right? Where we had to pay, we had to live somewhere anyways, and then continually use that money into the next home. So go ahead.
Well, a little bit about me, just jumping back. So my parents were landlords growing up, and I thought I never want to be a landlord because, you know, at 10 years old, you go muck out a house and pull out carpets, and it's nasty and all kinds of mess. And so for me, I was like, I really don't want to get into that. And that was part of why our goal was, hey, let's just get a house and utilize the primary to get it paid off. I love my parents, and I also realized there's a different way of doing it. You know, there's two different types of landlords, just like there's two different types of tenants, two different types of everything. And so when we got into real estate investing, we decided to do it just a little bit different. Background as well. So I come from family business. It's a waterworks utility company. So we do a lot of all the big stuff that's not plumbing, fire hydrants, water tanks, meters, main lines, that sort of thing. But we also got to build pump houses, and then my dad, anytime we do a home remodel, he would do it himself. So I got some hands-on experience with that. So kind of had the real estate, the construction, that's what we
And I just think together. I can do anything. So I just am like, if I watch a YouTube video, I can figure it out. Done.
Love it.
So when we started our investing, one of the unique things that we kind of do is that we aren't in a hurry we're not in a hurry to buy anything. And that was super important to me, especially being a married couple and feeling like we both wanted to always be fully invested into the choices and the decisions we made around our finances together. And so we made sure that we were not putting, even if one of us was like uncomfortable, not putting the other one in an uncomfortable position where like Zach's just making a decision to move forward with a property and I'm not comfortable. And so we kind of had to dig in and decide like, what are the things that make me uncomfortable? One of the things for me is I don't want to ever feel pressured into a property because I don't want to pay capital gains on this property that we flipped, right? Like I don't want to pay that extra percentage, or we have money sitting in a 1031 account, so we need to do something, whatever it was, or we all of a sudden have to just rent to the first people available because we have no reserves and our money is just, we're hurting and we're either going to have to jump in and move into this property or not. And so we'd rather grow slower and know that we are both comfortable with every decision we're making and we're not sacrificing our family, because we have two kids. I have a almost 3-year-old, a 1-year-old, and I'm pregnant. Mm-hmm. So we don't want to sacrifice any of that for any of our lifestyle for this, while we do make sacrifices, obviously, financially in the way that we spend our money, to push us into buying properties just to buy properties, just to build, just to say, I have 50 doors, right? I would much rather have a higher percentage and make more money on one door than say, here's 10 doors that I have and barely be scraping the bucket at $200 a door. I have no money in savings or anything like that. So we're pretty strategic about the doors that we buy. And our niche is
college students in university towns. So part of that is we were both college students. I was here at Oregon State when the crash happened and kind of saw the university and housing around it was kind of insulated. Not perfectly, but when things were good, people are going to school. And then what happened when the crash happened? More people went to school. And so housing was, kind of staying in demand. And so when we talk about investing to our real estate clients, we really talk about, for us, it's finding an economic engine, whether it's a hospital, if you're up north, it's something big like Intel, Nike, whatever that is, a university, and kind of having that is a little bit of an insulator and kind of keeps your house in high demand, low vacancy. Or in our case, like we've had almost zero vacancy.
Yeah, we've had like a
time.
2-week vacancy on one property
Yep.
and a 1 month, which was a choice because I wanted them out.
Yep.
1 month vacancy on another one, and that's all the
That's
vacancy. Yeah, but then we also live in Newburgh, so we live in the
Mhm.
Portland metro area.
Portland
Yeah,
Metro.
exactly. And so we have a private college, which we love because, first of all, this does not mean we don't sometimes have to call the police on them because they're having parties. Did that the other night, but they all sign a, what's it called? Like a
lifestyle agreement. Yeah.
So like lowers the partying to an extent.
In theory.
And also their parents are usually fairly rich, and most of their parents pay their housing.
Yeah.
So we don't have any issue with that. Our other niche that we've kind of we fell into, and then we were like, wait, we really like this. Let's keep doing this, is we tend to buy properties. We look for 2 or 3 things that involve a 3-bedroom house that has spaces to make it a 5-bedroom. Because we know even if we're buying a 3-bedroom home at fair market value, we add those 2 homes, we can still refinance it, pull out cash, pull out money, because we've just added the value, usually in our town, somewhere around $100,000, which like that is insanity to add 2 bedrooms and add $100,000. But you show them, we have this rental agreement for $3,200 for this 5-bedroom house that we bought for $315,000. They're like, yeah, you're right, the value is there. And then we're able to refinance out of whatever loan or whatever situation we're in with it. Yeah.
And for us, we get a lot of people asking, hey, so college students, do you rent by the room? No.
Absolutely not.
We don't. We just rent the whole house. Everybody's on the lease.
Every parent, if need be, is on the lease as well. So that can sometimes be 7 plus 14 people.
Yeah.
Is it annoying? Yes.
Is it a headache? Yes. Right now, it's a little headache, prevents a big headache later.
Yeah.
But the big thing that we've learned, again, as Bethany's talking, we don't need to up the square footage of the house. We just need to up the number of bedrooms, because college students are looking at what's the total rent, how many ways can I split it? Is it 1 person per room? Is it 2 people per room? Well, we just went from 3 to 6 people, to 5 to 10 people in a home. So.
Yeah, and again, like these college students are signing lifestyle agreements, and so you tend to get a different. We're able to screen our tenant differently, right? Like one of our houses has the entire soccer team at George Fox living there, and so they have a different type of mental state around they have to go to school and get certain grades. So they're really focused on what they're doing. Yeah.
Getting into that market, because I know how college kids can be, you find that more of those college kids tend to destroy things?
Okay.
Carrying more things?
So I'm going to push back on what you just said, because you just said, I know how college kids can be. And that's what everyone says to me.
I'm just curious.
No, it's a good question.
It's a great question.
Great question.
We have had way better experience with college students than any other group we've ever had. These college students, first of all, if you come from an approach of, which is what we try to do, of education. So we typically go to them, we educate them, because this is sometimes their first time renting. So we walk them through the entire contract. Does it take more time? Absolutely, but it saves us more money in the long run. And then they rave about us to their friends, and their friends want to rent from us. So some of our homes, we haven't had to advertise for 6 years, because it's every 2 years. They just are like, hey, our friends want to move in, and we're raising the rent, we're doing all this, this is what the price is, are they interested? We meet them, we vet them and do all that. And they're so motivated to get that security deposit back, because they are broke. Like they have no money.
So the other thing I would add to that, again, like I said earlier, there's 2 types of tenants.
Yeah.
I was a college student. I took pristine condition or care of the home I was in. I also went to some of my friends' places, and it wasn't the case. I also know they weren't paying as much as I was.
Yeah.
And so it's, for us, when we do a renovation on a home, we don't do, rental grade. We always do a step up or a few steps up. And part of that is because of our exit strategy ideas. Hey, if the market shifts and we need to sell it, or we have to move into it, someone's a little bougie. She likes, granite countertops.
I want a quartz countertop, okay?
So we keep that in mind. If we have to exit out, what are our options? And it also attracts a different level of tenant that isn't just looking for minimum everything, something super cheap, but they want something nicer. So it's not guaranteed that,
we also have like a contract, and how do I usually say this? We let our contract do the heavy lifting, and we always approach everything with kindness. And so we've had we had the whole football team at Fox. Well, it was like a lot of the football team at Fox was renting to us, and they were like, I was getting chewed out by a dad because we do not allow smoking on the premise of our property at all.
Even if it's the first game that you've won and you and your son always smoke a cigar
and
on the porch.
Dad's chewing me out, and I just stepped aside from the father and was talking to the kids, the sons, and was like, listen, you signed a contract agreeing to this. It is your choice if you want to break that contract, but you know what it says in the contract. And they were like, okay. Like, there's a piece of this that's like, they're a little young and a little bit naive, where they're not going to try to push the boundaries in certain aspects when they know that you are going to. I tell them, I do drive by the house, and I am not afraid to evict people who break the rules of our contract. And I said, in the same way, you don't want me breaking the rules of the contract, because you don't want me just showing up whenever I want, right? They're like, yeah, I don't want that. Great. Yes.
I played football at Georgia Fox.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, if you have issues with football players, I have their head coach.
Boom.
So if you need them,
I love
I
it.
can give it.
Love it.
Awesome.
Perfect.
I got one other thing.
Yeah.
You said that the college kids have been better tenants than almost anybody else, like demographic-wise, that you've rented to.
Yeah.
Who are those other types of people that you guys have rented to?
So we have we have two families that we've rented to. They're lovely. Families come with stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Like, the older you get, the more things you accumulate. Bottom line.
I've got a lot of stuff.
He has 3 garages full of
Keep
stuff.
going.
Garages, not like 3-car garage, like garages. And so they don't come with a lot of stuff, and they don't come. They're really money motivated, right? Their whole motivation in getting into the home is usually, I can pay $300 a month for this room versus paying $1,500 at the university. Awesome, love that. So they're super motivated. Like, one time we were doing a move out with one of these tenants for their friends to move in. And we were like, hey guys, the lawn isn't at the same place it was. We always take pictures. We share it on a Google Drive with them so that everyone sees everything, right? Like, we're not trying to hide from them the state that the house was in beforehand to try to get money off of them. Nope, we want the yard to be mowed. They're out there with scissors cutting the grass because they were so motivated to get that security deposit back. And Zach ran to our house, grabbed a lawnmower, was like, here, use our lawnmower and get this mowed. Like, so that's like, and I also do a fairly thorough screening job on whoever. I Facebook stalk them before I even set appointments. I Facebook stalk their friends. I see what kind of photos they're tagged in before I even set appointments with them. What type of people are we wanting? Because also, a lot of these homes are in neighborhoods, and we want to be really respectful to the type of home, because these are 5-bedroom homes that we're putting around these neighbors. Now, our neighbors might disagree, but we do try our best.
And we do have like a family that's been renting one of our houses that they're awesome. Everything's on auto pay. Check shows up every month. They're great. Anything breaks, they let me know. So we don't want to stereotype, because again, there's 2 types.
Yeah.
And we did have a group of young, I would say college age individuals, but not college kids that rent in. They're probably the worst renters.
Yeah, and just like trust your gut, because
so.
we pushed ourselves into a corner and just rented to them, even though we all said we shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And then we did it, and then we were evicting. Well, they self-evicted 4 months later, but
cool.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. One of the big things that's a little bit unique about us is we do partnerships in our
So are all your
Oh, yes.
Sort of.
Sort of.
No.
So one of the other things we look for, so we look for a 3-bedroom that we can turn into a 5. We also look for a property that has another option for it, whether it's zoned so we can do another unit.
Or we can partition something off, or
there's like the home that we're going to do a deep dive on.
Yeah, let's show you the pictures of.
It had this home. It's massive.
Massive
It
home.
used to be a parish.
Yeah, it used to
An
be a
abbey?
parish, then it had different add-ons, I think in the 70s. And
It's actually like half zoned commercial.
yeah,
Because they had this like 600 square foot. It's like 680 something square foot business on the back, and we turned that. The city wouldn't allow us to turn it into a second unit, but we turned it into a mother-in-law suite.
Yeah.
And so technically it's not a second unit, but then we have multiple of our other properties we're doing the same thing with. So
yeah, have a way to kind of add like an ADU in essence. So
yeah.
So on your single family
Yeah.
homes that you're hacking to make
multiple.
5 bedrooms, are you taking away the garage? Or
We haven't had to.
Yeah, we haven't
so-
had to.
So typically, like this one's a good example. We added 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, and like a little kitchenette, and it just happened to have this big bonus room.
That's a 7-bedroom house, by the way, all together.
Yeah. And so another one that we have, it had another big bonus room, so we split it in 2 and added 2 bedrooms.
We've
So it's
taken dining rooms
It,
that
yeah.
we don't need, that it's like, this is an extra space, and just like walled it off. We've taken storage rooms, added
Yeah.
electricity, window,
A window.
all of the things it needed. And then it's like, okay, sure, you're walking out into the garage, into the storage room, but like what college student doesn't love that privacy? Like they don't mind walking into a cold garage to get to the main house.
We had an upstairs kind of converted attic space.
Well, we've done like 3 of those.
Yeah, that we turned into a bedroom.
Yeah.
So it's just finding essentially bonus rooms. It's kind of like if you have a house that has 3 bedrooms and an office.
And then for
Well, let's convert that office into a bedroom.
refinancing on those ones, when you're converting like an attic or a basement space, we just know it has to be 5 feet, right? 5 feet or higher.
Yeah, it's like on the walls. So if it's one of these converted spaces,
Because this
that
is
has
like
the
what, you know,
roof ceiling.
it just has to be 5 feet at the top, right?
Yeah, on the walls.
Yeah. And it's once it hits 5.
Yes, except on the side.
Here's the thing.
The short side. It's like 4 feet
Here's the
and
thing.
5. Yeah.
No. If you think of it, right, you have a wall here, 5 feet, angles up to here, 5 feet, right? Yeah, and that is from multiple appraisers. So like, you look at my contracting license and it says something completely different, but the appraiser will count that as a living space and will include it in my bedroom count, which helps my final value for appraisal for my refinance.
Yeah.
Square footage is added, which is a big part of it.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, or even if it's same square footage, but we've repurposed it to a bedroom. And great.
Yes.
It did well.
Great question. Next.
Depends. Yeah, it depends on the space and what you do.
Yeah.
So
like we didn't add windows. We didn't add any electrical. We didn't add.
Yeah, electrical, plumbing.
We literally
mechanical,
added
structural,
sheetrock.
are the main things that they're looking for. If you convert a garage, at least in Newburgh, they're looking at parking. So if you
get rid of those
alternate
2 parking spots.
and then if you say, hey, I'm going to turn the yard into parking, they go, how much non-hardscape space do you have?
Yeah.
And if you have the driveway already and it's got enough spaces, they go, great, go ahead and do it. If you don't, then they say you got to add however much parking.
Yeah.
So,
Did you have a question?
I did, but you kind of answered it. I was
Great.
gonna ask if you ever had to add dormers to like attic spaces or anything like that to make it work better.
yeah, we haven't had to.
Yeah, we haven't had to in our attic spaces add any windows because they were already existing. We really like to buy 1800, late 1800, early 1900 homes, which tend to have those larger attic spaces that just have those vaulted, 12-foot ceilings everywhere with these large spaces. But so we haven't really needed to.
Yeah, they're old.
Yeah, I mean, I started a fire and chased a bat out. Like, yes, like we find knob and tube wiring and we're like ripping that out and you think it's not live and then all of a sudden I'm doing a Facebook Live video and I'm like, there's a fire in this room.
Yeah.
Somebody fix it.
So I guess it depends what you mean by issues.
We've had rat issues.
Yeah.
Yes.
Rats, raccoons, cats, skunks, you name it.
But we strip a lot of our houses almost to the studs. as much
It just depends if it needs it.
if it needs it.
I guess I would look at our very first home that we purchased. My comfort level at that point, from a construction standpoint, I was fine with structural stuff, not anything foundation. That was my one thing. I was like, no thanks. Thankfully, 1910?
Is 1910, yeah.
It had been jacked up, new foundation put on.
Okay, but then I wanted to replace all the floors of this home because
So part of the reason the new foundation, everything had rotted on the outside. When they did it, they buckled all the floor joists. We ended up fixing all that. But at that point again, I was like, foundation's scary. Well, at this point, I'm like, anything, it's fine. So when you say, hey, have you had issues? Like, well, we fixed a lot of things, but
yeah,
it's not really issues as much as just
I think the
stuff.
What I find though is on these early homes, I would much rather redo an early home than I'd rather do anything from the 70s up. Like I'm redoing we live in a 70s home that we're remodeling right now because the construction is just like so wonky. Where these ones, it's like we had to like jack up a post in this 1881 home we're doing right now. We had to jack up a post and put a new thing in, but these have like, we opened up the wall and it has this beefy post. So it was like we could tie into this beefy post and get our, what's this one called? Header across, whatever, those words.
All the stuff.
And get everything, pregnancy brain really like, the words don't work all the time. And really get everything tied in versus like, I'm redoing the staircase at our house and it's like, well, there's a janky hole and oh, look, now our plumbing's probably leaking over here and I don't know. Oh, and this is just like a weird plywood that somebody put in, but this plywood's not used anymore because when water touches it, it just is disintegrating now. And now I have to all of a sudden rip this half of the wall out eventually to stop whatever plumbing leak is randomly happening. But we don't find that in our early 1900s houses. Did you?
Let's see, I think it was here first.
We had, yeah. Oh, let me pull up a photo.
Yeah,
This is like,
we can pass this around.
like this is, think like, okay, let me set up the scene for you. I was going to go see this home.
Everyone close your eyes and imagine you were...
I was going to go see this home. I drove by, I was like, we got to buy this. This is the one we're going to talk about the deep dive. We call it 215 Sherman. I was like, this is awesome. I walk in the house. I am not a scaredy cat at all. And I was like, I think I'm going to get murdered. I think I'm going to be murdered in here. And there was this noise. It was like this dripping and this rushing. And I was like, what the heck? And I'm like, Zach was out of town working. So I call his brother. And I was like, are you nearby? And he's like, no. And he's like, do you have any protection on you? I'm like, I have nothing on me. I just like stopped and went to see this home. I'm walking all over. There's graffiti everywhere. There's holes in the wall.
There's creative language on the walls.
Lots of creative language on the wall. But I keep hearing this noise and I'm like, I don't know. I think somebody's downstairs. I think somebody's downstairs. I think I'm going to get murdered, but like, I still want to look at the house because offers are due in 2 days. Like, and he's like, well, I'll just stay on the phone and I'll call 911 if you get murdered. Great. Awesome.
Thanks, bro.
I go downstairs. There is 6 feet of water, which is what the
Indoor
noise was.
Swimming pool
in the basement. And so it is just like, and it's dripping and flowing, which is what I was hearing from the 3rd floor of this home.
Yeah, there was a sump pump that
was trying to pump.
Broken, so it's just circularly.
And I was like, on the phone with my brother, like, oh, we got to buy this home. This is it. This is like, that was the selling point, was the swimming pool in the basement. I was like, let's do it. So they're really bad condition. Yeah. But it did help us have less competition. So
yeah.
And it's a deep discount.
Deep discount, 6 feet deep. Yeah.
It was though. The water was so high it had rotted the whole staircase going into the basement.
Yeah. So, and there's a structural post that we had to replace that is kind of rotten as well.
Which should definitely, absolutely be permitted.
It's existing. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the slideshow, I don't know what page you're on. Yeah. What page are you on? Okay, if you go that way, you'll see kind of
some before and after.
You'll see some, and it goes for like 10. I'll bring it back. You'll see kind of our level.
So again, our standard is she's got to be able to move into it because that's one of our exit strategies. If everything hits the fan and we go, shoot, are we going to sell it? Are we going to rent it? Are we going to refinance? Are we going to move in?
We also ask ourselves, like, what kind of tenant do we want to attract?
Yep.
because we want to hit the level that we want to attract. And we were really good college students. I lived with 9 girls in a 4-bedroom house on Madison Street here, Madison and 4th here in Corvallis. Our landlord was an attorney, amazing, Ron Merrick, if anyone knows him. Lovely, lovely people. And they said we were the best tenants they've ever had. And they were the people that I first saw as landlords that I was like, landlords that I was like, if I were ever a landlord, I want to be like them. The way that they walked us through everything, the kindness that they had, they never talked down to us because we were college students or anything like that. And they made sure that we were taken care of on top of like the level of their home was nice. So, yeah. Did you have more questions? Yeah. Yes.
I get that you're not scared of that. What are you scared of? What type of repairs are you like, we're not touching now?
We're
At this point,
not afraid of any
scares
repairs.
us.
It's just the price.
Yeah, it comes down to purchase price.
Purchase price. So
anything can be
margins scare
fixed.
me.
Yeah, margins. Yeah.
So we keep a pretty tight margin on everything.
Yeah.
Timelines scare me. That's the other one. And this is why, which I'm just like skipping around, why we started a construction company. So we have our own construction company because our timelines were getting so messed up by these contractors. And we had a problem, especially right like the year before COVID, where we kept getting blown up by contractor after contractor after contractor saying, this job's too big, we won't do it. And we're like,
I'm making more
we're
money
like
on a
willing to
small
pay you
job.
$50,000 to like on top of that would be what their like take home is.
Yeah.
And you're not willing to work with us, like, but they're like, yeah, we make just more money off of all these small jobs. So we had to start a construction company to fix that problem.
And how does that fix the problem? Are you still subcontracting, or I mean?
No, we
so
have
hired a crew.
We have a whole
I've
crew.
got a foreman. I've got full-time guys. And
So tell us about your that structure. How many employees do you have?
yeah, so we've got 5 guys that are full-time or close to full-time. And it's really nice because I can just pull up and go, hey guys, how's it going? See ya.
Yeah.
Or if I want to work, I can. We were in a car wreck this year, so it was actually a huge blessing because we started that up in January, got in a car wreck in March, rear-ended on I-5. We stopped, they didn't. And so I've been dealing with back pain since that. And so hindsight, it's like, wow, we got lucky with the timing because otherwise I'd be the one doing that work. And right now I can't so much. So, but no, it's great.
So they work for other people too.
So we hire them out.
They
So
are
we own the
100%
company.
work for us.
I am the
unless we tell them
licensed
to go work for
contractor
someone.
on our company.
Yeah.
I have our CCB.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah. We bid them all.
run our numbers.
Decide
and
what to take
if
on.
we're going to sub anything out or if we're just going to do it
Yeah.
ourselves. And early on, I've got my spreadsheets. You know, we would go through room by room. Here's everything we're going to do. And it was how many hours do we think it'll take us? Or if we need to sub it out, how much do we think that'll cost? And then we would kind of balance out, what are we going to do? What are we going to hire out?
Yeah, because we always tell people, especially if they're new in real estate, you need 2 of these 3 things. You need time, money, or knowledge.
Yep.
And so now we've gotten to a position where I
don't have time.
We don't have time. We have a decent amount of money to invest.
Yep.
And we have the knowledge. And so now but when we started, we had the time and the ability to get the knowledge.
But no money.
And so now that we've kind of transitioned that, we were able to create a whole crew that works with us. It's a big responsibility because they're all on payroll and they just come and they mostly work for us, and then we hire them out to other realtors. They can do, because they can stop what they're doing for us and go do work for other realtors. And it can be like, hey, I need somebody to go, which we've had this, I need somebody to go do these 15-minute jobs tomorrow
because the appraiser's coming.
We need this done ASAP. And we're like, great, let's get you over there. We can have one of our guys go.
Yeah, so that was...
we actually found
some of it is word of mouth. Some of it is,
our
friends.
main guy, though, we found him through, he had a need of needing work. He was new to this area and was exhausted from being a contractor, because being a business owner is hard, right? It's hard to do the work, do the billing, find new employees, do all of that. And when you just want to show up and just hammer something or whatever the solution that you're looking for that day.
We do real estate down here. We do it up in the Portland area. And my home inspector passed away suddenly down here. And so I was finding a new home inspector, end up getting a hold of Steve, learned that he's also a contractor. And then we were doing a house in Monmouth. which was the one that we're calling contractors. They'd come out and go, they're too big. And as we're wrapping that up, I had him come out to help me. And I'm telling him, hey, my wife and I were going to start this construction company. First hire we want to make is a solid foreman, someone who's got experience, someone, that just doesn't want to run their own business. And he literally, we're sitting in the kitchen, and he goes, why don't you hire me? And so he had lived down in Bandon on the coast. They moved to the area, and he was doing all right, but just having a hard time getting new contacts, and doesn't like the business side of it. He loves building. He loves creating.
He loves teaching, which was like a high thing, so he can teach our crew.
Loves doing inspections. It's all the other stuff. And so we ended up interviewing him, pretty rigorous interview process, hired him, and then our first goal is to get a crew under him so that he can teach them. And we found some of those guys, friends of friends, who have seen our job posting. Some are hired a buddy from high school.
Yeah, and we try to do everything,
just different people.
Everything with a high level of integrity, no matter where we're stepping into, because we don't even if we're talking to college students who are really frustrating me, we still talk to them at a high level of integrity, and as if, they deserve the respect that we're going to give them, because some of them have even bought with us, sold with, as they've, and just try to protect our reputation. And so through that, and through our friends and family watching us over the last 8 years, they are like, you need to go work for Zach and Bethany. Mm-hmm. And we probably had more applicants than we actually needed, and we were able to pick and choose kind of who we hired. So
are there more questions?
Well, I've got a question.
Yeah.
I just want to understand better how you take partners.
Yes. Love that.
Yes. It depends.
Every deal we've done differently.
Yep. So, should we talk Sherman?
Yeah, we're going to dig into Sherman. So Sherman, we call it 215 East Sherman Street. I thought I was going to die, walk in, basement, flooded, blah, blah, blah. It's a massive home. We bought it for $220,000 with a hard money loan, and we kind of hacked this hard money loan.
So we did kind of like a hard money reno loan where...
But they didn't know that.
Yeah, where we would go, because the numbers were so great, we would spend money, we would then do a draw, and they'd reimburse us. And so we just had to have enough room on our credit cards or enough money to work with.
So that the hard money loan would reimburse us before a credit card payment was due.
Yeah. And so they actually financed.
So we didn't have it at the time. We just were doing personal. We actually open every single home we own has its own bank account, its own LLC. All of that we keep completely separately. None of our books are crossed between rentals.
And so timeline-wise, the construction company we just started this last January, and before that, I was kind of the main guy hands-on doing stuff. But on Sherman, what we did is it's with my younger brother and his wife, so the four of us are the owners, and we kind of said, okay, this is a great opportunity. None of us have a ton of money. We have time, we have experience, and so we simply just tracked our time. We gave a value on it and said, for my brother Aaron, we basically have the same skill set. If you see us together, you'll be like, hey, are you guys twins? No, I am older. And then same with Bethany and Sarah, kind of same skill set. So we agreed on hourly rate, if you will, for our sweat equity. If we work the same number of hours, it cancels out. It's great, 50-50, easy peasy. If not, then when we do the refi, we would compensate, cancel out hours and then compensate whoever had more hours to keep it 50-50 on the ownership and the equity.
And the only reason that worked is because those three things, time, money, and knowledge, we all were pretty equal in that.
Yep.
Now our deals have progressed and gotten different because we have more of those, we have more to bring to the table than some of our partners have or want to, right? Like some people don't want to go swing a hammer, and that's great. So how do we compensate? How do we have that conversation? We have a decent package that we're able to bring to a table with partners, and maybe we want their money because we want to use our money over here doing something else. And so that's kind of, it just adapts and changes depending on the situation.
So our most recent purchase, we have it with two other partners, which happen to also be brothers. I've got 6 brothers, so there's a lot of us. Siblings and wives. And so we own that one thirds. And the arrangement is actually, my brothers are bringing the cash. We're bringing other things. So we're having our crew do the work at
It's a
cost.
seller carry loan.
Seller carry loan. Our crew is doing the work at cost, and basically cutting out all margin from us. Any work that I do, not charging at all for that. We're doing property management for free for 2 years. A few other things, but basically
we're earning
we just
our
brought
equity
different
cash.
value. And
So
Yeah.
we'll refinance in 2 years?
yeah, so it's a 2-year seller carry with a balloon payment. And so anytime during that, we can refinance, but no later. I think it's 2.5. We gave ourselves a buffer.
Yeah.
No later than 2.5 years.
So
Yeah.
yeah. You manage all your property? Yes.
Yeah, right now we self-manage. That is one of the businesses we want to start officially as a property
The
management
goal is
company.
January.
And part of that is, as real estate agents, we have investor clients that go, great, I want to buy. I live in California. Do you have do you guys property manage?
We have a problem up in Portland with not great property management companies.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean,
And
I know some good ones, but none of them are in our area. And so it's like clearly a need that needs to be filled. And we have people who want to invest, but their biggest barrier is that they don't feel confident that they can self-manage. Yeah. And so while we can do so much to bring them confidence that they can self-manage, in the end, that stops them from doing it. So if we can break that barrier for them so that they can get a foot in the door and start building their net worth now, especially when they're younger, like, let's do it even if their margins are just a tiny bit smaller than ours because we are self-managing and actually having to physically do the work to do it.
But that is something we plan on doing. We've got our software that we just bought, and we're working through that. And basically, once we get set up, we're going to start offering it to my siblings that have rentals outside of our partnerships.
And then our
kinda
clients, and then what?
It's called like I'll look it up.
I don't know. My admin just says, the property management software, and I say yes.
I think. Yeah, it is basically the cheapest one for a small landlord.
Oh, did you want that back? Yeah.
And we figured we'll just start with that, see how we like it. So, yeah.
You guys said you have an LLC for each one of your rental properties, and you also have a construction business. You want to open up property management. How many LLCs do you guys do?
I don't know.
I literally couldn't answer that.
We have one for real estate. We have one for construction. We have one for inspections.
We have one for.
It's a DBA for the inspections.
Oh, okay.
And a lot.
Yeah, we have a lot.
It's $100 a year. Whoop-de-doo. You just go on the state thing and renew, and
yeah, and then it's just extra protection. So this is a if you go on Bigger Pockets, there is a debate around whether you are actually protected with your LLCs or not. Our CPA said to keep doing it this way.
Yeah.
And so I asked her the question. I said, should we just put them all together and just say, like, here's our rentals and put them all together? And she's like, nope, funnel your money this way, funnel your money this way, funnel your money this way. Here's your S Corp, here's your LLCs. When this business starts making this much money, we're going to refunnel it back this way. And
management fees here.
And so we just do what we're told.
But, yeah. It's just liability.
And part of one of the reasons is also because we have different partnerships. And so the accounts have different bank people on them as well. And so we have to be really careful that none of our funds commingle at all. And so we keep pretty good track and making sure that, like, when I'm at Home Depot and I'm buying for 3 different houses of things, I'm using 3 different credit cards so that I'm not charging this partner for this house's thing, or I'm having to remember, because I'm not going to remember how things separate out.
So we did simplify a little bit because our construction company, so we have different credit cards, different debit cards, but our construction company has its own.
Invest
so the
in a
nice thing
label
is
maker.
When we go to Home Depot, you just throw in on your pro account a PO number. So on the back end, it's
I'm not allowed to do that. I have to use my debit credit cards.
She doesn't. She'll mess it up. So. Yeah.
At what point do you scale up enough that it makes more sense to hire a property manager to say, hey, this is what we want the rents to be at, and this is kind of our standard, especially for areas that aren't Portland.
Yeah.
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 And if you only have a couple houses there, then sure, but I don't know that Salem or Corvallis really lack in strong property.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know.
So are you asking for us when we do that, or in general when someone does it? So what?
When do you think
So one of our, yeah.
Yeah,
Well-
I was gonna say for in-state, we'll probably never hire something unless it's further than we're willing to go.
We're really excited to go out of state to
Yeah.
hire a property management company.
But in-state, yeah, we'll just build it ourselves because then it'll be the way we want it, how we want it. And what we've found with the way we've built our rentals is you've got the initial of getting your tenant in, and a lot of them, we don't hear from them for 11 months.
Yeah.
And so we're like, if we can keep doing that, it's really not a huge burden.
Yeah.
You know, for us, I mean, you collect
Especially
the
because a
check
lot of
and-
our tenants are finding our next tenant for us.
Yeah.
And
And then if we keep the houses in good repair, we do regular maintenance, keep everything, newer, that's not really an issue.
yes.
But
I got a couple questions. First one is about estimating repair costs. When you're looking at a potential property, how many hours or how much time do you think you spend on the front end estimating costs, and how much after you or do you do the bulk of it, do some really back the napkin, and then after you're under contract really do more?
well, not even after under contract, but yeah, we do back the napkin. It's basically, we'll walk through. Perfect date night for us is find a vacant home that's not creepy with a murder basement situation. We go through and it's, what would you do? What would I do? What do you think this would cost? Just spitball it. And we're usually pretty close on that. And so we kind of look at that as our initial.
And when you're not like working in construction, a game that we played before was we would, even if we're like, we don't have any money to buy this home, but we're going to go look at it and we know that a flipper is going to buy it, is we watch what they do.
See what they do.
Sometimes if they are flipping, actually flipping it, we'll go to the open house and we'll just ask them how much did it cost you to do this? And then they'll tell me oh, it cost me $80,000, which was $20,000 more than I estimated, and now I'm in the hole, and and I need to get it for this price for it, otherwise, and they'll just spill it at you.
Yeah.
And we use that. And then I also, one of the beauties of being in real estate is that we have a lot of repair addendums, and so we just use those as that roof cost $12,000, so our roof is bigger than that. So we know it's going to be over $12,000, but it's not as much as the one that was $20,000. So we're probably $17,000 for this roof.
And then we always build in a contingency. For whatever reason, I've settled on 17%. There's no math behind it. I think I just like 7, and I was going to do more than 7, so I did 17.
Yeah.
So we add that in because everything takes longer. And when you're working on an old home, you find things. You dig in, and it was, oh, we didn't expect that or that much. Whatever it is. And you can't blame an inspector because they're not going to dig into it. So you just plan on there being more.
Yeah.
So, do you have a question? Yeah.
How many houses did you have to go through before you felt like, okay, I can do this next?
One.
Oh,
Our first
I was
one.
going to say none. I do. I still am what are we doing?
Yeah.
People ask me what I do, and I'm I don't know. I work, and they're but you're a real estate investor. I'm I don't call myself that. So his answer is totally different.
Yeah, I know for me, I've got a high level of confidence that if I don't know it, I'll figure it out. I've got YouTube University, I've got Google, between that, and then just calls, different people. And we've been fortunate that since the beginning, we haven't had any where we went, wow, we were off by $100,000.
I think
should we keep doing this?
A big part is that our comfort level sits that if something happens, it's not going to end our life, right? Because we started with $25,500. That's what we started with our investment. That home we took, we bought it for $126,000. It is worth $400,000 now. We've refinanced it. We've pulled all the money out. We used that money to go into the next home. So we already had this massive nest egg of over $100,000 sitting to do the next one. Yeah. So we knew we can always forecast 3 to 6-ish months ahead and know that we're going to be in trouble in 3 to 6 months if something doesn't change. Now, the beauty of our real estate business is I can go pound the pavement, get on the phone, sell 7 more houses, and replenish that money if we're getting tight, while Zach can be well, guess we're going to go do this work ourselves because we don't have any money to hire anyone, and he can go jump in, physically do whatever needs to get done, and then we're constantly 3 to 6 months ahead of whatever financial problem could come up.
When you bought that first one, was it were you waiting until you found the perfect one, or did you you know what?
No, we were getting married in a month, and
we had 3 homes that we could buy.
And not gonna lie, because both her parents are real estate agents, that we were looking at, should we get an apartment, do all this, And they're like, oh, you should buy a house. And I'm like, that's just real estate talk. Like, no, we need to save up. And then it was, well, for an apartment, it's going to be $800-900 a month. And through the conversation, it was, well, what if your mortgage was $800-900 a month? And I was like, okay, I'm on. There were 3 homes in town that fit our budget, which was $125. So we did overspend. It was worth it. First home, we go in, and you had to sign like a waiver to even go see it. Big
You had to
old
wear
hole.
masks. You had to have a suit to go into the home.
There was a nice big skylight, aka literally a whole black mold
everywhere.
And we're like, yeah, at that time, not comfortable with
Yeah, we weren't going to do
mold and
that.
foundations. Second home listed at $60,000, which honestly, I'm like,
I know. I was thinking about that today. Yeah.
We went in and we're like, okay, this is cool. It's weird. It's got 7-foot ceilings. Like, it's got these janky outbuildings. Had my dad and brother come, and my dad, his dad was like the type where you're unwrapping Christmas and you save the paper for next year, like unfold it and whatever. So dad took that on. He saves everything. He looked up in the attic, saw everything was put together, scabbed with 4-foot 2x4s. And he goes, I'd just get your brother over here with an excavator and dumpster the whole thing. And I'm like, I've never heard him say that about anything. So probably not this one. Then we ended up at our 9th Street house, opened the door, and it reeked of just dog urine and poop and all that lovely stuff.
So we bought it.
Yeah, so we bought it. But you walk through it, and it was like, okay, seems pretty cosmetic. New foundation, newer electrical, newer plumbing. And we ended up going with that one. But it was just, we had 3 options and tight budget, and that's kind of what it was.
Yeah, we like to make an opportunity wherever there isn't one. And so we never are trying to wait for the right home to come on the market. We'll figure out either a way to make one of the homes that are available, if we're like, we're going to buy a home, figure out a way to make it work, which is how we ended up in this, buying fair market value off the MLS houses that are 3 bedrooms, making them 5 bedrooms, increasing the value $150,000, and then renting them out, having great margins. So, yeah.
How are you figuring in that interest rates now?
Isn't that fun?
Isn't that super fun? We're looking for alternative. That's why we ended up with a seller carry loan on this purchase that we just did. We were gonna
at 4 1/4.
We were gonna finance it with our two partners. We're gonna finance it because we want to keep we have too many mortgages. We want to keep our mortgages available for other things where we're not partnering.
Yep. But just budgeting it in.
Yeah.
Maybe buy the
if
rate
the numbers
down.
make sense at a high interest rate, it'll make sense if we can refinance down the road and interest rates drop. Yeah. If we can do a seller carry.
Figuring out ways to increase
I
revenue.
had to have a mindset shift around seller carry because I was like, why would somebody want to do a seller carry? Well, there's a lot of people that have large investment portfolios that want to start offloading them because they're at a certain point in their life. So if you can find those people that are at a point in their life where they're wanting to offload, but they want to offset their taxes, they want to do a seller carry. And if you come and say, hey, I'm going to offer you this, I'm going to do a low down payment, but I'm going to give you 9% or 6% or whatever that percentage is, and you make it a win-win deal with them, they'll do it all day because now they don't have to deal with their tenants anymore. Now they don't have to deal with their maintenance, and their taxes are broken up into years.
And at the end of the day, I don't care if the interest rate's 2% or 20%. It just depends on what the other numbers are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. No.
No.
When we refi,
yes. Yeah. Yeah. And so we're up to, we just dropped some mortgages. So we're at 6. We have 6 mortgages? 7?
Yeah.
5? We're somewhere in there.
Because
we have partnerships. So we can't portfolio loan our partnerships in.
Unless they happen to be the same partnerships.
Same problem, because they want to look at our entire section, and I've talked to so many. This is one of the downsides of being a woman who's investing. My husband can get 10 times further on the phone with these lenders than I can, and it's very frustrating. Also, I sound like 3 years old on the phone, but that could have to do with it too. They want to look at your whole portfolio and every asset you have and say, how does this look? And when we say, well, I want to pull this one out because I own this one with a different person, they all of a sudden, for some reason, say red flag. And you're like, okay. And then they're like, I want to dig into that person's
So if we wanted to
financial
put
situation as well.
all the homes we own individually, those could go in a portfolio. The ones
Yeah.
we own. Yeah.
Why not those? Because they're typically right now.
We just haven't needed to.
Yeah. I mean, because most of ours right now, we're already at 3%, 4%.
Yeah,
So-
we have low interest rates right now. And one of the things we're doing with our partners is we're trying to stay off the loans. So we're not even wanting to be on any of our loans anymore and trying to just put them on it. What? So
I can't hear you.
so our partners are the ones getting pre-approved, doing the loan.
Yeah.
We sign an LLC agreement. That means whoever's on the loan has to usually have 51% ownership of the LLC. And so we have a agreement that we sign. When they do the lending, they get the lending on the property themselves in their name. And then we sign a new LLC agreement
Goes back in the
going
LLC,
back
you
to
amend
whatever the percentages are.
You are, and you're doing a quick claim.
We
You
quit
have to
claim
go
deed it.
back into the LLC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
But if they were to say, hey, due on sale, they just quick claim it back.
Yeah.
And the truth is, on the due on sale, really for the lender, it's if they're not getting paid, then it's an issue. If they're getting paid, they don't care.
And typically they're the ones telling us, hey, you need your LLC agreement to say this person's 51%. We're like, oh, great. We'll get that over to you in 20 minutes. Here you go.
No. So it's the individual partner's name. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Other questions?
You said you have 12 rental properties? How many?
2 of them are
12 doors.
12. Well, they're property. 2 of them are vacant properties,
And
vacant land.
how long ago did you start your first property?
We bought our.
Yeah. 2014 is when we bought our first primary
But we didn't
that we fixed
start. I think we said 2017.
Well, that was for Sherman.
Well, that's when we actually started building, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we build slow, and we're good with that. I like our numbers. Yeah. We BRRRR'd all of them. Yeah. Well, except for we did a hard money loan on one, and then the 2 that we're currently working on are both, it's private money and a seller carry. So we have private money loans that we raise money from friends and family.
And they'll both eventually BRRRR.
And they'll both BRRRR. Yeah. Yeah. So and then we did, we went from our first home into another purchase that actually we ended up selling here in Albany, but using that cash to get into another home that we BRRR'd, moved into the current home that we live in that we're BRRRRing as well. And then this will be our last one.
Hopefully.
We're going to build.
Yeah.
I'm done moving. So, yeah, the goal is we just did the math last night. How much?
Goal is don't think, just do.
How much monthly?
Was it the 10 grand?
Yeah, the goal has changed many times.
Yeah.
I think our goal right now is, it was 10,000 a month of just passive. Well, we call it leveraged income. It's not passive income. We still work for it. So of leveraged income coming in monthly. And that upped recently to 20,000 as we have 3 children now and they're going to be in school and expenses and stuff like that. But the goal right now, kind of like next year, the goal is to add 2,500 a month in monthly income coming in. So it's more of that base, less on house base. And then to continue, like the majority of these properties that we currently own all have the option of adding another unit. So if we get into a position this year where interest rates are too high for us to do anything, we can turn this 215 Sherman. It has the basement that can now be added into a second mother-in-law suite.
So it's got like 11-foot ceilings down there.
11-foot ceilings, 600 plus square feet. That should rent for close to $1,400. It costs us under $20,000 to do it.
And we'd probably just do that one cash because that one cash flows really, really well.
Yeah. And then we have another property, well, the one that we just that's on a seller carry has the option of adding 2 more units to it. So we already have the space, so we'll start adding those if the opportunity to buy a property doesn't come up.
Yeah. I understand that you can do 4% on adjustable rate mortgages that are 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another option.
Yeah.
Some of them will only adjust once during 10 years and they'll only go up 2%.
So that's where I love this. And this is where like we've had to have a lot of deep conversations because that hits my threshold of comfort. I do not like an adjustable rate mortgage. It makes me super uncomfortable. I can't probably jump into it in the sense of like, and so I won't jump into it. I would rather us wait to find something that fits our needs. Where I have other friends who are like super comfortable with this. I know that my job is going to do this, this, and this in the next 3 years to be able to refinance or do whatever I need to do to move it.
My preference is longer loans. I'm excited for those 40-year loans.
Yeah, we're young.
But it is nice to have that as an option, you know.
And we don't live on any of our rental income.
Yeah.
All of our rental income goes into its own account. All of those accounts just
goes right back into
right back into investing. So we don't have to use it. We live off of the money we make in real estate and our day job. Yeah.
For loan value, sounds like you might be paying some of them off. Is that after you said you had 5 mortgages?
Well, we hold 5 more. All of them are mortgaged. We hold 5 of them. Partners hold the other ones.
I didn't hear the question.
He said, "What are we doing for loan to value?" All of them are as the highest loan to value we can get. Yeah. They will give us at the time.
Max amount 75, 80.
What? Yeah.
Yep. Up to 80. And
yeah. As long as our margins sit comfortably enough that we can stay leveraged, and then typically what we do, because we don't take draws on our money usually, is we take the first 6+ months of mortgage payments and it just sits in that bank account in case. But oftentimes we've just remodeled the whole house. Yeah. So we know that we're not worried about a roof. We know we're not worried about hot water heater, furnace, whatever it is. But we're going to keep a healthy chunk sitting in that bank, especially like with our partners. They just know going into a partnership with us, you probably won't start seeing a return until we have our bank account to whatever usually my comfort level is for that specific home, which is why every home has a different bank account, because one of our home's roof is going to be a $12,000 repair. One of them's going to be a $35,000 repair.
And our goal is to never go to our partners and say, hey, you need to cough up $2,000 because something happened.
Yeah.
The other thing though is if 80% is going to make the monthly payment higher than our rent, then we won't max it out because we want our rent to always be covered or to always cover the mortgage.
And some.
Being in single family, a lot of times it's a little bit more basic scale as opposed to multifamily. What's your scale plan? Do you have one? Are you guys happy with?
Yeah, so part of the scale is keeping mortgages in other people's names.
Yeah.
And then we do want to go out of state to increase cash flow to help us
to buy more small. The goal is small multifamily. Yeah. So something between a 5 and a 20 unit apartment complex, and but we need to up our cash flow in order to be able to start those purchases. So, but we're also like not in, like I said, like we're not in a hurry in the sense of like we're not going to force a deal to happen where one isn't, and there's like specific cities that we've already targeted, that we've been talking to realtors, that we've been looking at properties, and right now we're just kind of watching with how are they going to be affected by whatever sort of recession or wherever we're headed. How is that market affected? Because oftentimes those higher cash flow, lower equity properties get hit hard.
A lot of questions.
Yeah, bring it on.
So in the beginning stages when you guys were getting started with lending, and I know you talked about hard money lenders. How did you guys network with those people? How did you guys get started before you had like a portfolio that showed that you were credible?
Yeah, so hard money lender, that was interesting. We used a Precision Capital out of Eugene, and I don't remember how we found them, if it was through...
It was through KW Mid-Willamette.
KW, yeah.
Yeah.
But they said, okay, great, you've never done this before, so like, why should we give you money? And so we basically had to make a renovation portfolio where we looked at our primary and said, hey, this was a foreclosure. It was a mess. Here's everything that we did. Here's my background in construction.
Here's my background in real estate.
here's my brother's background. And we basically said, look, we may have never done a flip, but we've done all this other stuff, and that's why you can trust us. So they took that, they looked at it and said, okay, great.
And this is a great option where if you're like, I don't have this portfolio, this is where you go to somebody and you say, can I partner with you? Can we use your name on your portfolio in order to, like, what percentage would you be comfortable for me to use your name, your portfolio, for us to be able to get this loan and us to move forward so that you can do it? Because I think a lot of people think, well, I just want to do it by myself because my margins are higher, right? They are. They absolutely are. And at the same time, if you could get yourself further, quicker, which I know I've talked a lot about, like, we don't need to move fast, but like if you can get yourself further together, then it's like so much better for you than it's like, well, now I have to come up with a bunch of cash to be able to do this on my own to show that I have a portfolio.
Basically, you just showed them that they can trust you and you showed them.
Yeah, they also kill you on interest rates because they're like, we don't know you, we don't necessarily trust you yet, so here's an 11% interest rate.
And I know with Precision, after you do the first deal, they do knock off 1 point on any future deals. So
They start giving you like 90%.
Well,
of the cost of the property and
Yeah. And we
And
got a
again,
little uncomfortable with hard money loans because I don't know if anybody had hard money loans during COVID. Refinancing your hard money loan was tough, and so a lot of banks were really hesitant to refinance, and you had to show, especially with buying rental properties, any sort of refinance, it was a lot harder to show. And so with some of the uncertainty, you're like, I need to make sure I have all of my ducks in a row when I'm getting this high interest rate, high monthly payment, hard money loan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got one question.
Yeah, bring it.
So I don't have like 6 brothers, so how do I like
Talk to your parents and they'll, sorry, what?
Yeah.
18 to 20 years? No, but like how can a normal person
So there are like
Find a partner.
so many groups.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
So finding someone, and then for us, expectations are a big thing. So we've had a lot of real estate clients who say, hey, we want to get into investing. We don't know what we're doing. Can we partner with you? And because we are kind of slow to move on that, we're like, yeah, in a couple of years, when we feel comfortable. But just having those conversations, learning on your own, running deals on your own, see what value you can bring. If you've got time, money, and experience, what 1 or 2 of those do you have? Find a partner that is missing that. See how you can complement each other on that. Run some deals together, and see if there's something that makes sense, and then set expectations in writing. So when we did that with my younger brother, I love my brother. I want to keep loving my brother, and definitely don't want to get at the end of the project and be like, all right, that was terrible. But because we had everything in writing, the way we decided to do it is we're basically doing a lot of the same stuff. So we're going to track our hours every day, put it in, treat it like a job. So there's no question at the end of like, hey, are the hours off? Here, it's open books. We can both take a look at everything.
And again,
then
like,
check in regularly during the process as well.
just like with our tenants, we let our contractor do the heavy lifting with kindness. And so like that allows us to, sometimes when you're in a partnership, you have to have a hard conversation. And like, we always start a hard conversation of like, we're going to talk about the facts. I'm not sitting here to attack your soul. Like that, this isn't a personal attack. Like our contract says this and this isn't happening. So can we talk about that? Like what is happening? And if you're not the kind of person who is like gonna lean into that and protect your relationship as well as that conversation, like maybe partnerships aren't right for you, or you just need to grow in that and read some really good books like Fierce Conversations or some other things to learn and grow in that skill to be able to have hard conversations that help you manage the expectations, protect the relationship while also moving your business forward.
So another thing you can do, hey, who here listens to
Bigger Pockets? I would hope everyone.
So in Bigger Pockets, they talk a bit about like, hey, if you don't have skills, you don't have knowledge, how do you gain it? You might find someone who's doing it and say, sign me up. I'll take 5%. I'll take 10, a real small piece, but I'm going to use it as a learning opportunity. You fund it. You do this. You tell me what to do. I'm your gopher. And so it might be that you do it that way. It's a much lower risk, lower reward, but it gives you the knowledge and gives you a chance to get some experience without going, shoot, we estimated by $100,000 and now we're really stuck. So that might be another thing, is finding a partner that would be a little more of a mentor. And it might be that that's the only deal you do with them. Or it might be, hey, that was great. And on the next one, it's 25-75 and you take on a little bit more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you guys
Yeah.
so much
Yeah.
for coming all the way from Newbury. Got a little
Yeah.
present for you. Let's get a
Oh,
hand.
thank you.
Halloween treat.
Love it.
Oh my gosh.
Perfect. Thanks, Ryan.